Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thanks so much again for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's take another look here at Filecoin, see what's going on. This coin looks like it's doing pretty darn good, and a lot of reasons why I think that is because we're over our macro point of control ever since we've been in this range like 320 to 440. We can see we're above that level of interest, basically a significant amount of open interest there, if you will. We'll look at open interests also here in just a minute, but just to clarify here, a few things, we'll update our fibs and kind of make sure that we're up to par here. But I just want to say thanks again so much, everyone, for being part of my life. Super awesome to be part of this journey with you, and I really, really appreciate the awesome feedback. I've gotten a lot of I'm sorry I doubted you recently, so appreciate hearing that. It's nice to know. Either way you look at it, at the end of the day, it's not about right or wrong. It's about just using proper risk tolerance, risk management, and making sure that we're not getting destroyed when we take positions, right? Because when it comes to trading altcoins, Bitcoin, etc., we really got to understand what's going on in the back end. That's why we look at liquidation first, and we go from there. So let's start with this here. First of all, with Filecoin, last 7 days on the right. Sorry, left. The left-hand side is last 7 days. On the right, we got 30 days. We can see here that there's some late shorts, rightfully so, upwards about 390 to 395, maybe $4. We zoom out a little bit, we can see that concentration is a little bit more heavy, if you will, somewhere in the range of about 400 million, upwards about $4. So we still have some liquidation left. To clarify though, there's a ton of liquidation at 336 to 330 range, maybe just say 340 as a round number there, and that's a heavy concentration too. So just know that we're much closer to upper liquidation than lower liquidation levels, and it would make sense for the price to continue higher. That's more so a macro perspective. When it comes to the local time frame here, we can kind of see that we have a pretty significant delta here for longs. In other words, there's a tremendous amount of longs in the market right now for Filecoin, and that does lead me to believe we might see a slight capitulation, the price pull back to maybe the next key support level. What I'm doing today is I'm basically waiting for Bitcoin to cool off, hopefully get some altcoins to retrace their local high, bounce off that as a new low. That's kind of the concept. A lot of missed opportunities are going to happen when you do that. Please understand that, but the general consensus there is that you're going to find more consistent entries than you will buying the top and the price pulling back. Again, it takes a little bit of patience. It's not the easiest thing to do in the world, but here, I don't know if you can see on the screen, but $3.50 is that largest amount of open interest here for Filecoin. So $3.50. Try to remember that number. That is an important support level for us, and we can kind of see, once again, this macro point of control is at 360. So that pretty much summarizes the fact that 350 to 360 is that nice area of support. We go back to liquidation, we look here, 350 to 360, that's in this range here. We should be pretty safe from liquidation in the 340 range, right? So what I'm getting at is if you use low enough leverage in a scenario like this, you should probably find a lot of success. If you're going to use a high leverage trade going into a key level resistance, probably not the best strategy. Either way, we got this golden pocket just above us here, this 0.68 fib level. Potential resistance range, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 times we've seen previously days, past days rather, where that level has worked as a resistance. So we can presume it might do so moving forward. Granted, we have a lot of volume and a good amount of progress. There is a good chance we might see a pullback to the local levels here. So my money here is on this 0.5 fib level. 375 is a potential retracement, and then a continuation higher from there. It's really common for the price to reject out here at these kind of levels that have previously been tested and unbroken, especially with Bitcoin kind of traveling into its resistance range. My anticipation is we're going to see some altcoins pull back to their local levels here. This 0.5 makes sense. Again, that's just a spitball, thinking out loud here. We haven't looked at the details yet. That's generally what I would say is a potentially good strategy. It may also be good to average into your position. Get in now and get in at a slightly lower price point and ensure that you are dollar cost averaging into either a leverage position or a spot position, okay? Either way, things are looking pretty solid in the overall sense. Let's go ahead and start with a weekly now that we got a new candle here and kind of see where we're at. Obviously, this week has been a pretty good start. It's only been 1 day, but we got a bullish engulfing candle, quite significant, letting us know that continuation would make sense. Weekly time frame, we're still under 50 on the RSI. That kind of reaffirms the resistance range, likely here at about 410 to 430. Those are the more recent highs, and a lot of times you will notice that there's 50 on the RSI, 70 on the RSI. Those levels will typically correlate with a larger, more macro trend, which in this case here we can see two of them, 415, maybe 408, somewhere in this guy here. That would seem like a sensible resistance for us, at least initially. We may break through that, but between now and then, that's kind of coming up here. We do have a MACD convergence here on the weekly, which is nice. Not a ton of altcoins have this going for them, and this is a very good sign. It kind of implies that the bottom is tentatively in. I want to emphasize the word tentative because there's no guarantee by any stretch. But MACD and the fact that we're up over a key level resistance, basically a new support for that point of control at 360, that leads me to believe we're going to see further upside. And if the price does pull back, we'll see a nice support in that 350 to 360 range, once again avoiding that liquidation. So again, taking a look at the daily time frame, let's recognize this here. First of all, on the daily time frame, we are tentatively, and this is just for the moment, we're above all moving averages. Now, again, the 200-day SMA is way up above us. That's a different story altogether. But the important ones are all here. In other words, the 50 and the 20 are right at 375 as low as 365. So that tells us we got a nice little support range here in that area. That, in combination with the point of control and the fact that we've established a higher high just above the more recent high, leads me to believe we're in pretty good shape here. And if we do pull back, 370, 375 would seem like a sensible area for a long consideration. I'm going to go ahead and set an alert at 375 roughly. So if I get that notification, I'm going to reevaluate, see if it might be worth taking a long position at that point. Right now, it seems like a good practical place to get in. But once again, it's easy to say because we're above that. Price may not pull back to that level. I am very, very good at identifying key level supports that don't happen. Right? So please understand, being a patient trader like myself, sometimes these areas are never tested and the price just continues to run and you missed out on an opportunity and FOMO sets in and you're having a bad day all of a sudden. And I become the enemy, which is perfectly fine. Like, I get that all the time. But the truth is, at the end of the day, for me, I feel much more confident and comfortable taking a long position at the right area than I would FOMOing in the top. Not saying we're at the top right now, but just generally speaking, it is usually best practice to wait for a pullback that never happens versus jumping into a trade that's a bad trade, right? So just kind of food for thought there. However, daily time frame, we are looking pretty solid in that regard. If we look at our moving averages or RSIs, we're up over 50 on the RSI. This is phenomenal. You don't see this happen too often with coins having a lot of confluence plus being above this level. That's a really, really good sign. Money flow index is trailing behind, but it's also factoring in this magnificent drop, right? Because again, it's a 14-day lag for the RSI and money flow index. So generally speaking, when you see all that, that's combined here, that does lead me to believe that we're going to see the MFI increase, average itself out. That in tandem with this MACD converging, these are really, really good signs. So this happens a lot of times in coins that have been waiting to break their key level resistance. Now that we have, which me personally, I think that key level was this guy here, 375, because we see a lot of areas in which the price action had difficulty crossing that level. So that leads me to believe we're in pretty good shape here. We also got an increased amount of volume, which also provides sustainability. So here's where 375 may not happen. Keep this in mind, because you look here, the local high, that's right there at about 380. So if the price does pull back, it could fill its fair value gap and bounce from here. So I'd say that 380 might be more of a practical place to consider along versus 375, just based on the simple fact that we may not see the price pull back that low. If Bitcoin retraces, it might be a different story, but if you look at this price action versus Bitcoin, they're very similar in ways, but Filecoin does appear to be much stronger near the top here and a lot more interest in the prices running faster and harder than Bitcoin. So those combinations, you kind of see those things together. That's really just a cause for the price to likely continue further up. Same thing here as well. When we're up over 70 on the RSI, the price will continue to run in most cases. So I feel that it might be best to consider jumping into this coin here before it's too late. I don't normally like to say that, but there's a lot of contributing factors here, and Filecoin has been one of those coins I've had my eye on for a while. This does seem like a decent area of consideration. Money flow index is decent. I wouldn't say that's phenomenal, but we are seeing money flowing into the coin as well as the RSI being overextended. Believe it or not, that's actually a very positive sign. It increases the odds of sustainability at this price point. We can also see the hourly too. It's going to confirm every single reason to consider a long versus a short. So again, it may not continue much further. We are traveling into a resistance range, but the same accord, if it pulls back, it'll likely retest and continue higher. So a best case scenario, the price does one of these. It kind of handles out here for a cup and handle, and we see the price retest 380, 390 as a potential support. That'd be awesome. That's just generally how these things are supposed to work out. Are we guaranteed to see the price pull back? No. it may be worth considering getting some skin in the game here, because this coin definitely looks like it wants to run. But the truth is, you're always better off waiting for an opportunity, maybe 375 to 380, as a better consideration versus jumping in now. But me personally, getting some skin in the game now, it's only like a 2.5% variance. It wouldn't hurt to just consider a long position at this point. So once more, that's kind of where we're at here in the overall sense. For the most part, we're seeing some very strong confirming factors here for Filecoin. A strong likelihood of continuing. Keep in mind, the only caveat here is if Bitcoin pulls back to maybe just say 64,500 or lower, because that's its tentative support level here for the moment. If that were to happen, we see a retest and a break of that level. I think Filecoin will probably come back down to the low 360, 350 range as a potential retest of that level. But once more, we've already confirmed there's a lot of support in that range. People are super interested in buying at 365, and I think that's going to continue to hold until it doesn't. Right? So again, and then funny how that works out, right? Trends will continue until they don't. That's how trading is, folks. You got to reevaluate consistently and stay on top of the charts. If you don't, it's difficult. And that's usually where my job comes in handy for other people. So hopefully I can make this a little bit easier for you in general, but that's kind of how I like to approach the charts, at least in this situation here. So that's where we're at there for Filecoin. Looks like it wants to continue to run. I hope that made sense. I described it correctly. Thanks again so much for the awesome feedback from everybody once more. Be sure to check out Bitunix, folks. This is an exchange that we use exclusively as a community, mainly because they offer phenomenal benefits every other month, but more importantly, at no KYC or VPN. Check them out. They're a really, really good exchange. Appreciate you guys and gals for watching. We'll look forward to seeing you next one. Oh, pay attention to, I'll also post a playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord here shortly. Typically, they look a little something like this here when I evaluate. I kind of give you a bird's eye view of everything that's going on. It's all there for you. Thanks again. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.